Our next project, building on what we know about animation, is going to extend the amount of movement that we need to think about in our images. So after the thaumatropes, the toys that could be spun that you just made, that just had the two images, so one movement broken down into two parts, they started to get a little bit more complex. We got to see the movements broken down into smaller and smaller parts, or we got to see bigger and bigger movements, and then they could get turned into stories. Okay, so this is kind of the tipping point where Walt Disney took the little flip books and was like, I can tell stories at this point, but they're kind of short, right? So how can I get these stories to be up on a screen for people to watch them, and then I can make those stories as long and as elaborate as I want to. Okay, so the flip book was actually sort of the bridge point between those thaumatropes and zoetropes that you saw earlier, and the animation from Disney that we know and love today. Okay, so in your little packet, a little bag that you got for STEAM, that you should have gotten when we passed out your technology, there was a little mini Post-it note set that was in there. If you don't have that, okay, it's okay. They do sell Post-it packs down at the dollar store. Or if you wanted to cut a whole bunch of little pieces of paper, just make sure they're as even as possible. And you could either clip them or you can staple them. That will work too. I just like the Post-its because they're already stuck together. And we'll be using that to make your little flip book. Okay? All right, let's see how it's done. All right, as I mentioned, there are a couple things that you are going to want from your STEAM packet that you should have gotten when you picked up your Chromebooks. You should have gotten a little Post-it note set, okay, not too big. You can actually take what you have there and break it into two smaller ones if you want. You should have enough. Or you can go down to the dollar store and get a large pack of these and break them into smaller pieces. As I mentioned, if you have a paper clip, any kind of paper clip, right, like this, and you cut up some paper, as long as you keep the edges of the paper nice and together like this, they're nice and flush with each other, and then clip it on one side, that will act like the sticky part of the Post-it note as well. You could use those. And then the only other thing you should need is a pencil and an eraser, and then you are ready to roll. You want to make sure that you decide which is the front and which is the back, because you have to start at one point and work your way towards the other. So if you like to hold it in your left hand and use your right hand to flip, that's cool. If you want to hold it in your right hand and use your left hand to flip, that's cool too. But just make sure you note which side you want to be the beginning or the end of your story. Okay, so let's say I'm going to do just a really simple one. You can choose to do one that is more complex or complicated if you want to. We're going to do one called the ball. I am not the greatest artist, visual artist at least. I am sure that Mrs. Hirsch would do a much better job at this. But I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay, so it's going to be about a ball. Say that this is the bottom. Okay, and so the things that I want to think about are, how does a ball move? When a ball hits a wall or the ground, how does it move? Okay, because remember, we're going to take a movement and we're going to break it down. So does the ball go this way, and then when the ball hits the ground, does it stay a ball or does it kind of give in a little bit? Okay, so things to think about as you're making it. So here we go. I'm going to turn one page of my Post-it note and decide kind of where to start. All right, try not to take your Post-it papers off. I'm going to start my ball here. Okay. Now I can always go back and add detail or darker, thicker lines later. I just want to get an idea of where I'm going. So if my ball starts out here, I need to be careful on my next page to move it a little bit further down. And a little bit further down. Okay. You don't want your movements to be too big, but you also want to make sure you're moving it. Okay. So I'm using my finger on either side of the page to kind of give myself an idea of where the next ball is going to go. You probably want to start with a simple shape, like a ball, just to get yourself familiar with how to do this. Because it really is just a little bit at a time, just like when we would do the stop motion animation in the STEAM lab. We would just do a little movement at a time, little movement at a time. The smaller, the better, or at least the smaller, the smoother it will look. All right, so I'm getting to the end here, or not the end, but where it's going to probably change shape. So my ball is entering this corner. So I need to be careful as it enters this corner. What does it do? So this is right before we're going to get any change in shape. Okay. Now, when a ball hits the corner, it's going to get a little bit flat on one side, a little bit flat on the other side where it hits, right? I'm going to lean into that even further. Okay, now I want to take a look at it. I just want to see what it's going to look like. All right, so I think we're good. One more time. All right, I think our next one should be as it's kind of pushing back off of the corner there. So now it's going to come out a little bit. I might even give it like a little motion indicators there. And I think our ball is even going to, yeah. Now, which direction would it go? We got to think about that too. Which direction would it go out of the corner? Would it go straight up? Would it go straight out? Oh, it's probably going to arc over, right? So let's have it go up. And remember, I need to pay attention to losing track here. And as you make this, don't worry if mistakes are made. It's okay. Mistakes get made. See, I just made one. Okay. And I will ask you in your little puzzle piece assessment to me to please upload a video of you showing me the work that you've done. Okay. All right, so let's see what I have so far. The ball. Okay, one last time for you. I love that last little part where it looks like it's jumping back. Yeah. Okay, so can't wait to see what you guys do. It doesn't have to be complex or super detailed. Just really think about how to make those movements small, break down those movements and show them to me on each page. Good luck!